Hi guys, welcome. We're doing a level 3 mat class today, and it's a shorter class, but we're going to try to hit all our favorite things. So sort of like a full length hour workout condensed into maybe about 30 minutes. I have the blue mini ball here, which you're always it's always an option to use. We're not going to use it quite that much. So any ball would do, or even a rolled up towel to have like a bit of inner thigh connection at some points in this workout would be nice. If you don't have anything, that's fine. You're not missing out. It's just to try to get that little bit of extra attention to our adductors. You won't need this right away. So just come to stand on your mat. And before we start today, we're going to do a little bit of like a body scan or like some biofeedback where we're going to bring some tension into the body and then we're going to release it. So feet right together if possible. Finding your nice posture first, but then actively tensing the body, starting with the feet. So, curl those toes and feel the tension underneath, like in the arches of the feet. Really grip there, and tighten the shins, the calves. Feel like, squeeze the knees straight and tense the thighs, squeeze the bum, sort of a little clench in the abdominals, continuing right up to raise those shoulders and tense the arms. And, without breaking a tooth, like clench the jaw a little bit and squeeze the eyeballs even. And then let it go. A little bit of melting there. And we'll do it again, one more time. So from the feet up, so a little grip of the toes, feel it, move up, move that tension, climb through the trunk, shoulders, right to the top of the head, and then you're ready to move. Hands on the hips. Nice breath in to get even taller in your neck, and then do a little rotation to the right, through the center, to the left, through the center, to the right, through the center, to the left. One more time each way. Good. And then moving immediately down to our feet, putting our weight into our heels, and a little rotation out into a V, close it back up. Out into a V, close it back up. What you're looking here is that the whole spine, the weight stays over the heels. You don't have that waddle in the pelvis. You don't have any crazy shifts side to side. It's this nice solidness over your center point. Getting this lovely rotation at the hips, right? Where we're going to stay on our next one in that little V. Good. So sink in the knees, then straighten back up. Sink in the knees, straighten back up. You'll notice I'm doing a little bit of I wouldn't call it a bounce, but a little bit of a release and deepen. You can add that in if it feels good, or you can just go down and zip it all back up. Boom, boom. Zip it up. Now we're going to add a heel raise. So we come up, heel raise, sink the heels, bend the knees. Up, heel raise, sink, bend the knees. Zip, heel raise. And you're really trying to get that idea of narrowing as you come up, and that idea of getting into the ankles more as you inhale, bend the knees, and sink down there. Good. One more like this. Rise up. Stay on the balls of the feet. If you wish, you can bring the heels right together. And then we're going to bend the knees again. So you're going to keep the heels pressed together, even weight across the knuckles of the feet. You can bring the hands out to the sides for balance. Pelvis stays nicely under the spine. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Feel a bit like a dancer here. Da-da. That's good. You have a relaxed upper body. The low ribs held back if you tend to poke them forward. That nice neutral pelvis. Good. And then we're going to hold this one down. Pulse, 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 pulse. For 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Straighten it up. Lower the heels. And we're going to move to the side of your mat. We're going to step it wide in our lovely outturned squat. And we're going to pull it back in. So nice wide squat and pull it back in. The idea is that you land, you're nice and solid over both legs. The pelvis stays level throughout and looking forward. So often what we'll do is, we'll get a bit of a twist in the pelvis as we come back, or we'll hike. And what you'd like to do is use more of the hips. Let this be a flexibility for the hips. as well as a strengthening for the legs. We're going to hold this one out here, and you're going to lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift. And we're going to do a little bit of a lunge, but only to one side. So we've done a rotating lunge before. Here, we're going to have the arms nice and wide. You're in your squat. You're going to pivot towards the side you started. So I'm going to my left, into your lunge, back to your squat. Repeat to the same side. Good. For 6. Boom. The idea here is that you're pivoting. The head, you're just rotating in space, right? You're not shifting and losing your balance and control. Good. Hold this one, looking to the left. Straighten out that leg if you need to, and we're going to pulse it here. So lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift. Control the front knee. Feel the reaction in the core as you press up. For 2, for 1. You're going to hold this one up. Both arms are forward, but you're going to draw back on that left arm to rotate towards that left leg. Beautiful. Circle it back around. We're going to do 2 more with that rotation. Draw back on the arm. Follow it with your eyes. Here's your balance, right? Circle it back to the front. Last time. You're drawing back on the same arm of the leg that's forward in case you're not doing the left. Like I am. Release the arms. Turn and come back into your squat. And then zip it up to the other side. So now you're starting on the opposite side of your mat if you're looking the same way. Stepping out into your wide squat, lowering, and coming back together. So breath in, zip it back, zip it back. Knees end up over the feet, so depending how flexible you are in the hips, that sort of guides how big of a squat you're happy to do, along with your leg strength and leg length and everything. The body's not pitching forward. You're nice and upright. Landing softly if you can. So many things to think about. Good. And hold the next one out in your wide squat. Little bit of a pulse here. Try to feel that core power you upward. Instead of it being all legs, try to get some bum, some glutes, right? Even the abdominals involved in that. Perfect. We're going to hold down on the next one. Arms are out to the side. You're going to pivot. You're going to come up, pivot towards the right leg or the leg you didn't do last time. Into your lunge. Back, squat. Up, lunge, back, squat. Up, lunge, back, squat your hips. Face forward on your squat. And pivot towards that leg. All right, so you're getting a lot of hip rotation here, which is quite nice. That's why I do like the pivoting lunge. The knee ends up a little bit turned in. Shouldn't be a problem if it's not comfortable. You could modify. How many are we doing? 2 more. Boom. And hold this one. Straightening out the leg so that the foot looks straight ahead. And staying here for a little bit of a pulse. Lower, lift. Lower, lift. Front shin staying pretty vertical. Knee staying nice and still. Squeezing the bum, especially of that front leg, to power up. For 3. For 2. Yes. For 1. Hold it here, nice and straight. Centered, pelvis looking straight ahead. Both arms are forward, but the right arm, or the leg that's in front, that same arm draws back. You get your rotation. Nice balance. Nice rotation through the trunk. Bring the arm back to the front. Rotate. Follow it with your eyes. Back to the front. Rotate. Get wide across the chest. Keep the head over the rest of the body. Don't let it poke forward. Back to the front for a second. Release the arms. Come back into your lovely squat. For a little bit of challenge, sink it down nice and low. Arms out to the side, and then raise the right heel. Lower it down. The left. Lower. Right. Lower. Left. Lower. Right. Left. 2 more. Right. And left. Perfect. Zip it up. Walk everything in. Take a nice breath in, arms up and overhead. Interlace the fingers. Press those hands towards the sky. Good. For a little bit more intensity here, if you wish, you can take the right leg, cross it over the left for your balance, then lean to that right side, or sorry, the left side. Right leg's overcrossed. Just for a little challenge in the balance, if it feels right. Come up to the center, release the leg, and then left leg crosses over the right, leaning to the right. Get that length on the left side. Come up through the center, release, and unwind. Come to the back of your mat. Good. Taking that breath in. On your out breath, it's a little chin tuck to start, right? So tuck the chin, leave the back of your head against the imaginary wall behind you. Get the chin tuck. Then go back to neutral. Because you're going to do it again. You're going to do it perfect. Right? So nice tall posture. Chin tuck first. So the gaze looks down, but the back of the head has not left the wall yet. Now you're going to do your roll down. Keep that nice chin tuck so that you have a gorgeous position in the neck as you let one bone at the back roll forward off the one below it. Rolling down, taking a breath in at the bottom and using that out breath to spring back up. Nice breath in at the top. Out breath to tuck the chin. Roll it forward. Breath in at the bottom. Spring back up. And you can do it slower if that feels better. But trying to almost feel you've rounded, you've lengthened in the spine, and then a nice recoil back up. Good. On this next one, you're going to walk it out to your lovely plank position. Roll it forward. Nice breath in. Walk it forward. Good. Finding that long plank position, elegant in the head and neck, drawn in with the abdominals. We're going to tap both knees for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and then lift the sit bones towards the sky. Sink the heels. Feel the pelvis pull back away from the arms. Be broad in the shoulders. Lift the sit bones. Pivot nicely back to that tall plank. Lift the right leg for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Hold it here as a bonus. Unlock the elbows for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Ground that right foot. Lift the sit bones towards the sky. Sink the heels. How's the neck? Are you relaxed in the neck? Are you broad in the shoulder blades? Do you have a good foundation in the hands? The fingers are spread, right? The palms are good and connected to the mat. Raise the heels. Pivot strongly back to that long plank position, tall plank. Raise the left leg straight for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Your bonus, you float here. You unlock the elbows for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Beautiful. Both legs ground. Sink the knees, uncurl the toes. Right into your cat stretch. So draw in with that low belly. Round the low back, mid back, upper back, head and neck. Additional hover of the knees if you want to intensify that. And then rock the hips back towards the heels. Snake it forward. Nose and breastbone low to the mat. Get some extension in the spine. As you come back to hands and knees for one more. Draw in with the low belly. Feel that wave move from the tailbone right to the top of the head. Hover the knees if you wish, if it feels right today. Let the sit bones rock back towards the heels. Get that length in the low back, connective tissue especially, then snake it forward. Beautiful. And then come down to a nice low plank position. Having those forearms parallel if possible, or bringing the hands together. Optional, if you're fatigued in the upper body, you start on your knees. You lift the right leg, the right knee, and then the left. Or we're going to try to have both knees up. Reach long out of the heels, long out of the top of the head, and then we're going to tap right knee and up, left and up, right, left. For 3. No, sorry, I want to do 6. So here's 3, starting, countdown, 3, 2. Last one for singles. Perfect. Both knees for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3. Hold the low ribs back, hold that pelvis in neutral. Yes. Beautiful. Sink the knees. Melt it down. Bring the hands underneath the forehead. And let's bring the feet a little bit wide today. So just out towards the edges of the mat. With the toes turned out, the knees turned out a little bit. Breath in to prepare. And on your out breath, float the right leg. Lower it down and do the left. Really feel like the belly, the front body responds to what the back body is doing here. So that that pelvis can stay nice and still. You can be certain of it. It's always a harder exercise than it looks, right? To get that real subtle pelvis staying nice and still. Lower it down. Take a break with the legs for a second. On your out breath, floating up with the face and the throat, and more thinking about length. You're not at your peak here. You're going to take the arms, you're going to reach them forward. You're dropping the shoulders away from the ears. You're holding those abdominals in. And as you breathe out, you're lifting the right leg again and the left arm without anything moving. You're holding it there for a breath. And then lower it down with control and make sure on your switch you don't feel anything move in your center. That pelvis stays level as the left leg raises and the right arm. Take a breath. Lower with control. And switch. Yeah. Nice and slow on your switch. Okay, this is the last one we're going to do so slow. And then you have 2 options. You either just keep this exact same exercise, or if you know you're wonderfully strong in the back body and you have the control from the abdominals, you can float both feet, both arms, and from there you lift opposites a little bit higher. But I want you to feel that that front body is really supporting your low back. If you have any discomfort in the low back, then it's moving somehow or having pressure on it, and that's not the goal of the exercise, right? So feel long out of the crown of your head as we do 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Perfect. Close the legs up. Zip them tight together. Lower the legs. Bring the arms by your sides with the elbows bent, the forearms on the mat. Lower the upper body just for a second. Just for a little break there. And then we're going to peel up again. So just with the upper body. Face, throat, breastbone. And you're pressing into the forearms a little bit. So wherever they need to be, that you can be broad in your chest, dropped in your shoulders, long in your head and neck, comfortable in your low spine. So actively draw the belly in. Good. And from here, you're keeping your feet close together, the knees close together. And when you bend the knee, that foot staying close to the midline. Release and switch. And the idea here is, again, if you had little pressure sensors under your hip pointers, they wouldn't register a change. The tummy's strong. The breath is even and deep. And if you're tight in the front of the legs, you might feel a bit of a stretch here or a bit of a challenge. Hold this last one and ease out and into it for 6, 5, a little pulse, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten it out nice and long. Are you comfortable in your low spine? Good. And bring the left knee to bend and then a little pulse for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stretch it out nice and long. Lift it up a little bit higher in the upper body if it feels good. Get some extension in between the shoulder blades in that spine, and then melt it down. Beautiful. From there, a cat's or a shell stretch will feel beautiful. So hands underneath the shoulders, bend the knees, press it up perfectly, and then rock the hips back towards the heels. But take your time, especially if you are a little stiff, coming out of that extended position into this round position. Just give the back and the hips time to soften. And then just enjoy 3 breaths where your initial breath, yes, you take it to your low spine, your low back area. But your next breath, I really want you to feel that into the upper pelvis, like even into the sacrum, the back of the pelvis bone. And on your last breath, I really want that breath to connect with the pelvic floor. Breathe right into your tailbone area. And on your out breath, you're drawing in with the belly and you're rounding up. Nice and smooth to come to tall kneeling. And we're going to spin around and be at the front of our mat. Good. And we have the feet nice and grounded, the knees bent, tall in our spine. Oh, here's where we want our ball, if you have it. So some inner thigh connection. Nice breath in, out breath, squeeze in on the ball, float the arms up, and right away on your exhale, draw in with that low belly, round that low back out, leave the shoulders over the hips at first here, tuck the chin, feel long out of the top of your head, and roll it back a little bit, just what you can control. This is still a warm-up. Pull it forward and peel up. Breathe in and just ease off the ball a minute, like a second in that breath, so that you can reconnect into that ball. Feel that flow up into the deep abdominals via the pelvic floor. Roll it back, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze in on the ball, and then peel forward and restack. Exhale. Squeeze in on the ball. Feel that pelvic floor lift. Peel it back, peel it back, peel it back, peel it back. And then peel it forward. Warming up quick here. But you do what you can. If you're feeling a little bit iffy in the low back, then you just go back what you can control. But you're trying to smooth it out, right? Restack. Gorgeous. This time add an arms overhead. Lengthen, 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 lengthen out of the side body. Out to the sides with the arms. And then exhale. Close the arms. Press in on the ball. Squeeze down. And then you're not going to go as deep as you have been. You're going to stay here. You're rounded in your spine. You're going to float both legs with that ball in between, the feet pressed together. Right? If you can stay here and balance. Good. And what we're going to do is we're going to raise the arms overhead, what you can control. Keep that balance. Exhale, come back down with the arms, put them right down on the mat. And you're going to do 2 more. Yeah, you got it. Nice and balanced there. Perfect. And now we're pretty warmed up in our spine. Can we go right into a little rolling like a ball? If you have a ball, put it behind and hug in there so that you can't let the feet fly away, right? Nice and tight into your ball. Tuck the chin, roll it back. Come up to a little balance. Roll it back. Come up to a little balance. Good. So if it doesn't feel as smooth as usual, you can blame it on the fact that we usually do this towards the end of the workout. Right? But you're hoping in this moment you can make it part of your warm-up. Good. Last one here. Beautiful. I want you to lower down. I want you to control. Bone in the back at a time. To lay on the mat, take the ball, lower the legs to the mat, and put the ball between the knees. The shuffle down. So you've got the The arms at the sides, the shoulders nice and wide, the ribs held back, that pelvis in nice neutral. The feet are underneath the knees, so depending how big your ball is. And we'll just start with the wonderful imprint and release that we love so much. Breath in to prepare, and out breath to drop that low spine down towards the mat. Breath back in. And exhale gently flat. Breath back in. And exhale gently flat. Good. And then we're going to peel up. So we're going to come to our low bridge. We're just going to do 3 and make that peel up and peel down as smooth as you can. Like I said, we're pretty warmed up in the spine. So peeling up, feeling that pelvis lift higher, and feel like the pubic bone tips towards the nose in that moment. And then on your exhale, use gravity to help you peel it down. Breath in at the bottom. Exhale to peel it up. And peel it down. And then number 3, holding it up. Is that head and neck staying nice and still? Are you relaxed in the throat? You brought relaxation into your body before the workout. You don't want to let it accumulate there as you are working out. So at the top here, take a nice breath in, and I want you to squeeze in on the ball and lift the pelvis a little higher for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. You're really trying to open up in the hip flexors if you're tight. Tip that pubic bone more towards the nose. Lift the heels, both of them, for 6, for 5. Each time the pelvis stays a little higher. Good. For 3, for 2, for 1. And then ground the heels. Take your breath in, lift that pelvis higher, and then peel it down, one bone to the back at a time. Nice neutral, nice length in the spine. Peel back up. Good. And if your ball is more down towards your knees, you might find that difficult. So make sure it's more between the thighs for this part. Good. The feet are right underneath the knees. Take your breath in, squeeze it on the ball, and then straighten that left leg. Keep the pelvis high, optional to raise the opposite arm overhead and lower it down. And then maintain the pelvis high and switch and lower. Pelvis high. I want each time you to think about lifting that pelvis a little higher before you do the movement, simply because as we practice, usually without someone there to cue us, we let the pelvis slowly get closer to the floor. And we think we're doing a great job. And we are, but we could do better. Pelvis high. Left leg straightens, optional right leg overhead. Make sure you control the rotation in the rib cage. So as you straighten the right leg, when you add the left arm, there's no movement in that low ribs. Good, we're gonna hold the next one. So pelvis is high. Left leg straightens out. Good. Arm overhead as an option, and then you're gonna pulse in on the ball for 6, for 5. Lift the pelvis higher. 4, 3, 2, 1. We don't like that one, do we? Lift the pelvis high, switch sides, make sure you've got control in the hips, control in the rib cage, and then pulse in for 6, lift the pelvis higher for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Beautiful, good strength. Lower the leg, lower the arms, but then take both arms overhead and place them on the mat behind you, lifting that pelvis high one last time. So that as you exhale, you can leave the arms there, reaching the fingers out long, long, long overhead as you peel down in the spine. And that feels good. Perfect. You can put your ball to the side for now, and then bring the knees in, one at a time or both together, and just give yourself a little time to lengthen in the tissues you just worked, whether it's just 3 breaths where you breathe in and out and give yourself space on the in-breath, or whether you just linger and hold, whatever feels good. Okay? Perfect. Good. And then we're going to come to nice tabletop for our rotation. If you're feeling like you need the feet on the mat though, you can always have that as an option. Put the hands out to the sides, and I'm going to do the version where I lengthen the top leg right from the beginning. I'm feeling good today. So you can join me if you wish, or just do the rotation. Keep the knees pressed together, and on your exhale, let those knees go to the right. And when you're there, if you wish, add that top leg reaching up, but the knees are pressed together. The knees are pressed together, and you keep them there as you pull everything back into the center, and then you release it down. And then you let the legs go to the left. And then keep the knees pressed together as you straighten out in that right leg, and peel it back up to the center. Good. Release the leg. One more to each side. And just trying to see, do you really keep the knees pressed together? Could you go a little deeper than you think that you could? You know, sort of push yourself to add a little rotation, a little oblique strengthening in the abdominals. Pull back to the center, and last time to the left. Keeping those knees pressed together, maybe going a little further as long as you keep that shoulder blade on the mat, and then straightening in that top leg, peeling back to the center, beautiful, and lowering it down. Awesome. We're going to keep the knees bent, and we're going to do a fairly basic abdominal exercise, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's just a nice one to come back to every so often to know that we're keeping nice and still in the pelvis. So we're going to put our right hand out, just out a little bit from the hip with the palm up, and we're going to take the left hand to support the head. The knees are pressed together here, and the pelvis is in lovely neutral, and the ribs are held back. Then you take your breath in, and you begin with your little chin tuck. And then you use that top hand, or that left hand, to support the head as you curl up. But then you're also going to turn to the right, and you're going to look at that right upward palm, and you're going to let it slide out a little more. So you're going to really reach, right? So you're climbing high, and you're rotating, but the pelvis stays level. Good. When you're there, let's go right into our harder version, where we bring that leg up to tabletop, and we lower it down and release everything. So you can speed that up, because we're going to do a few more. Exhale to come up. As soon as you're in your upwardmost position with the upper body, you can add in the leg to tabletop, lower it down with control, and release. Exhale to come up, lift, lower, release. Exhale to come up, and aiming to slide those fingers a little further, to lift a little higher, to gather some mobility in the spine along with the strength in the abdominals, right? Not at the expense of moving the pelvis or losing that low back position. Reach, leg to tabletop, lower it down with control, release, and then holding this one up, reach, bring that leg to tabletop. If you need the extra support, you can bring the right hand behind the head, good, and that leg is going to straighten and lower, and pull back in. Lift a little higher with the upper body. Straighten and lower, pull it back in, and lift a little higher. Right? So when that leg comes back in without losing the pelvis position, just to make sure that you don't slowly lose your upper body position, as we do 3, 2, and last one. Boom. Good. Lower the leg, center the upper body, peel it down, and let's do that same series on the other side. So left hand is just out from the hip a little bit. Right hand behind the head, chin tucked. Lower body's already in position. On your exhale, curl it up. Use that arm to support the head though. This is abdominal work, not neck work. Rotate to face that upward palm. Lift a little higher, bring the leg to tabletop. Lower it down. And release. Exhale to come up. Lift to tabletop. Lower. Release. Looking good. Curl up. Curl a little further, right? That's your goal. More mobility. And peel it down. Curl it up. Tabletop. Lower. Peel it down. Curl it up, curl it up, curl it up. Reach long out of those fingers. Support the head. When you're at the top, on your next one, I want you to ask yourself, is there a position you could be in with the head and neck that would be more comfortable, more elegant, right? Less necky. Good, and then you're gonna hold this next one up. Leg and tabletop. If you need the support, bring the left arm behind the head. Good. And then that leg's going to straighten and lower towards the mat. Pull it back in, and when you do, you're lifting a little higher if you can in the breastbone. Lower, in, lift. Lower the leg, bring it in, lift the upper body. Lower, bring it in, lift. Try to keep all the rotation you had in the beginning. Oh, this is good. And is this the last one? I'm not sure. We'll do one more. Bring it in, lift higher, lift higher, lift higher. Then lower the leg, center the upper body, and peel it all down. Gorgeous. Ah, doesn't that feel good? Stretch it out long. Good. And we're going to just do a single roll up because you're going to love to come up to sitting and practice the saw, because where we just were on our backs, that's our saw position. So flex the feet. Get the legs already a little bit wide here. Take the arms overhead. Hold the low ribs back. Take a nice breath in. Arms up. Chin nod. Exhale to peel it up to that nice tall sitting. Reach long over the toes. Restack. And then if you need some softness in the knees as you bring the legs a little wider in order to be over the sit bones, great. And if you don't, then straighten them out. Awesome. Arms out to the sides. Good. And you're going to take a nice breath. You're going to get tall. Tall, 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 and rotate. And then roll it forward. And this is your sit-up you just did. Rotation. Restack. Unwind. So when you're doing your sit-up, you rotate it, you lift it in the chest. Right? So you needed that strength. You also need the mobility. Rotate to the right, nod your chin, peel it down. Reach long past the toes, restack. Rotate, back to the center, to the left, nod the chin. Even weight on the sit bones here, right? Restack, back to the center. One more to each side, to the right. Restack, to the left. Beautiful, nod the chin. Perfect. Center it. Close the legs. Bend the knees. If you want to challenge yourself to get up to standing without using the hands, then let's pull back into a little rolling like a ball position. Tuck the chin, and you're going to roll back, come forward, and try to stand. So, or just come to stand however you'd like. So breath in to roll back. Stay nice and tight in your ball. Exhale to come up to nice standing. So you notice how I cross the legs to come to standing? That's easier than trying to keep the feet together. So if you're a little more flexible in your ankles and your hips than I am, you can try that. But let's come to do our favorite stretch, because hopefully you feel good and you just want a finale. Arms and legs are wide. Take a nice breath in. Bend and scoop. Exhale, sit back with the hips. And fold forward at the waist. Roll it up one bone of the back at a time. And always twice. Bend and scoop. Exhale. Fold forward at the waist. Doesn't that feel lovely? And there you go. Walk the feet together, and that got a little longer than I anticipated, but it was feeling good. So hope you enjoyed it and you feel good too. So I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Ciao.